Okay, so here we are, ready to start again. Sorry about that, but we will get there eventually. So I'm seeing some nice browns in here now. Now I've got the proper glasses on. And I'm still trying to think about the direction in which that fur's going. And I can still see some greys and things in it. But there is also the browns. I'm turning my pencil all the time. I'm going lightweight. The pastel mat is really good at picking up off your pencil, at getting what you want. This is a completely new skill, doing it with the camera on it, because I can't just swizzle anything around whichever way I want it. I've got to think about what you can see, as much as I want to think about what I'm doing. I do find it easier to hold my pencil further back, because that's what I found when I was working flat, and I did that bit on the nose for you, that I was coming up with my pencil hold as well near to the tip of the pencil, which it's a bit like using a pen rather than trying to get your textures on for your pencils. So this one that I'm using is Caran d'Ache, and it's Castle Earth. Castle Earth, not castle as in the building. And I'm just keeping going now with the, trying to get the pencil on there, letting the paper pick it off. Because I'm going over the soft pastel, I do wipe it off quite a bit as well. Because even though it's darker, I'm still picking up, and I also keep turning my pencil around. And it's really tempting at this point to put some of those lights in to see if I've got everything right. But I know it's just not time yet. And I need to keep going a bit more. Getting this dark down. So my lights will still go back over the top of that. There's no worries about that at all. Come down here where I've got a lot more of that dark brown. I think part of the problem is as well that I haven't secured my paper at the bottom, and it's bouncing up and down. You'll all have vertigo by the time I've finished with this video, so I'll stick a bit of sellotape on. There we go. I can feel with it being upright as well when I'm putting my grip in the wrong place. It makes me want to move it back and lay my pencil more to the side, whereas before it was making me want to do the opposite. It was making me want to grip higher up my pencil, and I think that was to do with it being, as I say, flat on the table. A lot of people do work flat. It's just, I think think I did my first couple of things on a flat surface, and then I switched over to easels, tables with tilting lids, variety of different ways of getting my work more upright. And I think that was because I read that when you're hunched over it, you don't have the opportunity to sit so upright when you work flat. You tend to hunch over it more. And I was very conscious now of, you know, hunching over and putting the extra stress and strain on my spine and the top of my neck. And so I swapped over to having it elevated, which is now what I'm used to. And I quite liked it when it was down. I quite liked being hunched over it. It's obviously a muscle memory, probably from school days, when that's how you sat with your everything hunched over on a table. But I think, especially as you get older, you want less hunching and more trying to keep your posture good for less aches and pains. So I'm just still going with this Castle Earth at the minute, Castle Earth. So that would be a dark brown in anything. It's not the darkest brown. I think the dark sepia is probably the darkest one. But it is, you know, fairly dark here. Keep cleaning off that pencil. Just put a bit of these darks in round here. I don't know whether these will be any use to you or not, but I think if you can't come and you miss out and you're actually wanting a few hints and tips, you don't have to watch the whole thing, just watch bits that you think you might want a bit of help with, or draw along. Great thing about video is that you can stop it and start it as much as you want to. You don't have to try and work at the same pace as me, or you might work a lot faster than me and get so much further ahead that you've got to fast forward me. Another great thing about video, you can fast forward me as much as you feel like it. So I'm going to swap colours again now. I've got some of that down and I'm going to look for another colour. I'll still be using Caran d'Ache, simply because that's what I've got at the side of me, and they're nearly always at the side of me because I like them so much. So I'm going to put some dark flesh on, which is another browny colour, if you can see it here. So just so that I get some variations in the browns, and I don't know whether you'll be able to see it on the video or not. But when I come in with those lights, I want to see variations in the browns. I don't want to see just one colour. I'm trying to make sure that I check that shape, because when I'm talking I forget to look at the reference photo, and that's what you'll be working from. So if I'm not doing that, if I'm just plodding along and doing things out of my head because I know at the end I'll have an ear, I forget forget that other people are now looking at the photograph of what I'm doing as well, so you need me to be working towards that a little bit more than I would normally, because you'll be trying to struggle between my just plodding along and doing what I feel like, as long as I get an ear, a nice ear at the end of it, compared to you trying to get something that's looking really like the reference photo. So now, I don't know if you can see, but when I sit back, when I move back away from it, I can see that we've got some shape here. This is going to have to go quite a lot lighter up to that dark to give that other shape. This light wants bringing out, and I need to get some lighter colours in around the top and the edge there. I just want a little bit more here first. Pull some of this down into where I'm going to go light. And I can see that cone shape of the ear. So to start with a little bit of light, I'll need to sharpen that one. Here we go again. I really do ought to sharpen and get organised better. Kids' school holidays, that's what I'm going to use as my excuse today. Kids' school holidays, keeping me so busy. There we go. So, I'm going to go with some of this lighter, fluffier bit now, and I will try and pay a bit more attention. So I'm using again Caran d'Ache, and I'm using violet grey because it's got a bit of warmth in it. It's lighter, but it's not a massive hard contrast yet. And we will go lighter than this still, but at the minute I'm just wanting to get some more textures, maybe a little bit more in the shape of where the fur's going. Although every time I talk I forget to see which way the fur's going and what the reference photograph looks like, and I just start doing my own little thing. I love drawing fur. So soothing, so relaxing. I think that's why I tend to go off in my own little thing, just creating it out of my head instead of following a reference photo. I suppose that's, I don't have to normally follow reference photos because I don't very often do anything for anybody except for my own pleasure. I think if you're going to want to create a portrait of a specific dog so that somebody else can recognise the dog, I think it's probably vitally important to make sure you're following things much better than I would normally. Just kind of just enjoy the process. When you're doing, I'm wiping off all the time. I'm wiping the darker colours off the tip of my pencil all the time with this. And when you're creating something that you want somebody else to recognise, a particular pet, you really do have to keep your eye on the photograph a lot more than on your drawing. I would say at least 60 to 40, probably even more than that really. Very rare I ever do anything for other people these days. I just like to do things for myself. Family, friends, people like that I would put the time and effort in and keep a better look of the photograph that they wanted me to work from. But the stuff that I do now is just more for me. I did at one time take commissions, do things for other people, and people were always really pleased with what I did. They were always sending friends or asking for a different pet or another animal or whatever. But I didn't get that enjoyment from it that a lot of other people get from creating pet portraits for people. And yet I'm loving doing this, just doing some fur. Some people really, really love creating pet portraits. And I mean, really love it. You know, they do it just about all day, every day. I've probably not got the attention span or something. I'll just get a drink because talking's... Better. I meant to get this before I started with you as well, and I forgot. Boiled the kettle but didn't pour the tea. Can't even remember what I was saying now. Oh, I think I was talking about people who love to do pet portraits, and I do sometimes do art every day, all day. I'm always wanting to do something different. Oh, I see something when I'm out and about and I want to have a go at that, or I see something on Facebook or Instagram and I think, oh, I'd like to give that a try. I'd like to see whether I'm any good at that, and when I'm not, I think, oh, I'd like to learn how to do that. So I think it's better that people who love doing pet portraits really enjoy them and want to produce like ultra realistic pieces of art. I think it's better that they should be doing it, not me. I think they would agree as well. These people. Because art should definitely be about what you love doing. And I'm loving doing this right now, but you know, if I had to get up and do it again tomorrow, and the next day, and the next day, I would feel like I was on a production line, and I would lose the pleasure from it. So I can see more shape there now. I hope you can see it in the screen, and I'm going to come back over here now, and these hairs are like going up and really flicking out. Oh, I think even now I'm still somehow managing to bounce that camera. I don't know how, because it's not even clipped to anything that's touching this now, so I'm really sorry. Try and go a little bit less vigorously. Be a little bit less vigorous. And if you look at the edge here on your photo, you can see it's curved, really curving round. So try to do that and move your pencil. Keep turning your pencil and cleaning it off because you're going over the dark. And we're going to come back with some more light on this shortly. I just love how they take shape. I think that's what I like most about it all. How it all starts to come together. You start off with such a blurry, mucky mess, as we might say in Yorkshire. A blurry, mucky mess. A lot of artists call it the ugly stage, that everything that you do goes through an ugly stage. And quite often when you're a beginner, and probably even when you're much more experienced than I am or will ever be, you get to and you think, oh, I've made a muck of this, I've got to stop, I'm not getting anywhere with it. But what I like to do is I like to push through and see what I can salvage out of it, because it teaches me how to correct mistakes, because I don't think I can say that there are very many things that I've ever done where I haven't created some sort of mistake or issue. My mind's drifted off, I've picked up the wrong colour, I've not looked at the reference, or I've thought, oh, this will look lovely doing it like this here if I'm just making things up out of my head, and it hasn't worked out the way I want it to. So by correcting mistakes, even when I know that the end result's probably not going to be what I was hoping it would be, and it's probably going to be quite a substandard piece, rather than something that I would be like, well, hey, I've done a fab job here, I absolutely love it. I'll still try and do the corrections. I won't let myself get disappointed that I haven't created what I set out to create. I'll still keep trying to work it. I mean, there comes a point when you can do no more work because your paper won't take anything else. But until I get to that point, it is very rare that I let myself stop. Once or twice I have. I've lost all interest, and I think it's been when I've known that I've set out to do a piece that I wouldn't be able to do. So at the beginning, I probably felt I wouldn't be able to do it. I might have really wanted to do it, but I felt that I wouldn't be able to. And so I have on one or two pieces given up the ghost, so to speak. But in my head, I would still have taken something away from that I can use, either if I try to do it again, start completely over again, which is very rare for me. It's another thing that's not really in my repertoire. It's always so many things I want to have a go at, and people say, oh, I've lost my mojo, I've lost my enthusiasm, I want to, but I can't, because I can't think of anything that I want to draw. And I'm completely the opposite. There's always 1,000 things I want to do, 1,000 different things, and it's trying to decide for me which one to do. And I think that's another reason why I don't really like doing pet portraits, because how on earth would I ever fit time in to do other things that I want to do? So I think it's better that I leave them to other people. But as I say, I really like it when I do them every now and again. Like, I'm enjoying doing this. I'm enjoying seeing the shape of the ear coming together. I'm enjoying looking back to the reference photographs and thinking, whoops, you've lost it there again, Linz, you've been talking instead of focusing. So now we're getting this curve here. Want some darkening up here and shaping out a bit more. And we want to get some lights in. You can see little patches of lights, but we want to get some lights in going like this. This needs all lightening up a bit. And we need some more of this here before we put some more lights over that and some darks pushing through. I don't know why I didn't do that bit with the soft pastel when I was soft pasteling in, you know. I wasn't thinking about it like that, I guess. So So I don't know if you can see on the screen now, but I can see some textures coming in here, some darks and some lights, creating the shapes of the fur at the bottom of the ear. I think that probably wants to be a lot darker really, rather than a lot lighter. This lower edge. So that's the violet grey. So probably, I don't know if I'll go back to that or not. And I thought I'll swap over now, and I'll get some lighter grey in there. And for that one, I have this pencil. You can see how massively sharpened out this is because I use it a lot with fur and highlights, and it's still Caran d'Ache, and it is French grey 10%, so it's a warmer. So that first grey that I put down was quite a cool grey, and it is quite still cool upon that top edge, but here in here there's some warmer, so I'm going to get some little bits of warmer grey in very lightly, moving my pencil, trying to create some shapes, trying to catch other bits that are lighter and leave some darkers in between as well, pressing a little bit harder in certain areas to get an even more, a little bit of light fur colour. Trying to keep the shape a bit better now. I'll probably go back in here with something a bit darker again. Sometimes I do this, which I tell you not to do, and I sort of just tap it in a little bit. I always wash my finger off straight away afterwards, of course. Got some lights going down here. The kids' school holidays, and I don't often get a chance to do much in the kids' school holidays, but they've gone swimming. So with the swimming, I had it planned in my head to do this. While the kids were out of the way, a little bit of peace and quiet. Still trying to keep that shape where I can see it's going in, and some of those bits of fur there are longer, so I'm dragging those out a little bit. And I need to bring some more dark up here. So I'll stop with the lights in a sec, and I'll just go and get that dark brown again. And I'm going to swap over to the dark sepia now, because that is quite a dark area all here. So I'll come back through with some darker colours, and you can go backwards and forwards and backwards and forwards. And it's that, keep going over the areas and keep bringing in more colours that gives you that dimension of reality, of shape, of photorealism, if you want to get, you know, keep going until you get that far. It's the constant to and fro. The only thing you've got to be careful of when you're going light, dark, light, dark, light, dark, is that you don't make it muddy. And one of the best ways to do that is to keep cleaning off your pencil. If you're going dark over light, if you're going light over dark, keep wiping that colour off. And if you'll excuse me, no, it's not my phone because I'm using my phone to record with, silly girl. I hope on that screen you can see these shapes that are starting to come in. And you can see that I'm having to work backwards and forwards all of the time. And when you're doing it and you're thinking, should I be putting more in? Shouldn't I be putting more in? You should. You should always be putting more in. Most of us stop before we've overwhelmed the paper and taken the tooth out. Most of us get to a point where we think, if I do any more, I might spoil it here. Or if I keep going, I can't see that I'm making it any better. And that knowing when you're really done, that just comes with experience of keep going, keep going, keep going. Keep pushing that fur in, but only lightly, so you can constantly keep going back over it. If you go too heavy-handed to start with, you'll fill your tooth up that fast that you won't be able to get these different layers and textures in, and you won't be able to go back and forth. I'm still cleaning my pencil off on a regular basis. And I think you should be able to see now that we're getting some depth into this fur up here. And how by spacing your strokes out, keeping going lightly and making spaces between your fur strokes, it allows the texture to develop better. Because if you go heavy and keep going over the same area, you're just going to create a big flat mess. And you've got to have those spaces. And also you've got to just have that light touch so that when you go over it with something else, it'll still go over the top. It won't just not catch on the paper, it won't just slide straight off. So I'm thinking, because I think the photograph's a little bit blurry anyway, which it doesn't really matter, it's just taking you that step closer to going from start to finish with a whole dog. Which it's nice to think that we're getting closer to that all the time. Swapping back over to the light pencil again here, because it is a lot lighter here. It's a bit longer. Still cleaning it off constantly. Rubbing some of that into that pink there, where you can see it sort of transitions from fur to flesh. And this is still warm grey, and I need to go back in with some cooler colours and more blendings. I'm not doing too much down the bottom here because I'm likely to put my hand on it and smudge it or do something. So far my hand's fairly clean. I have got a little bit on my finger, but it's not too bad. But if I fill this in, I'm much more likely to catch it at the bottom. And so I'm going to look for something a bit cooler again now and go in with some more cool. But I still don't want it to be too dark. So I've got a choice of still Caran d'Ache, light cobalt blue. Does look a bit bluey on the picture, and I could grey it out afterwards. It's nice to get that other colour in. I've got a Payne's Grey, 50%, which is quite bluey. I've got a light grey. And I've got steel grey. So I've got a choice of these colours here to go with. And I'm going to go with the light grey to start with. Might put some of the other ones in, but I'm going to go with the light grey to start with. So over here again, still at the top. I don't want to fill that, don't want to make the brown disappear. I will keep wiping my pencil off. I'm looking to keep some shape coming round, looking for a bit of where does it go now to get that shape. And that colour, I think, goes all the way down this edge. And it is about keep cleaning my pencil off. And it curls over the edge. I do tend to go, when I'm doing really short strokes, I do tend to go up on a more of a pen grip. I think it's to give me more control because I'm nearer to the edge. And that's what I'm seeking, a bit more control. And also I'm not doing a sweepy motion. You'll have to let me know if these are absolutely useless to you, you know, if they're just not something that you're interested in, because I don't want to bombard you with them. Don't mean to say I won't continue doing them, because I quite enjoy it. And I suppose if we get somebody new that comes and joins us, you know, they can catch up with us if they want on their own time by watching these videos. But if you'd rather I didn't send you them, just let me know. I don't want to be sending people things that I don't want to be spamming you. If I'm going too far out with this, I can always pull some dark back in. I need some more dark there. This isn't quite so bluey grey there. It's a bit creamier. Got a bit of this here. It looks quite pinky and violet there. I might put a bit of that in, because you know what I'm like with colours. Love, love, love a bit of colour. I might blend these areas again once I get some colour over the top here where it's lighter. I might go back and blend them. back down, or I might use a pencil to blend them. It really does depend on what I feel will get the best result there. I might not have time to get it all done because I've got to go pick the kids up, but I think I'll have got enough done for you to see what you need to do, and that you need to still be carrying on and keeping on and going a long way. So here, to me, this looks like the light on the fold of the ear more than fur. Sometimes I stop looking through my glasses and I sit right back, so it blurs out what I'm doing. So I'm going more by, I'm not looking at any details, I'm just literally looking at shapes of where things are. And I can always come back and put some details back in later on. But the shapes are what will give it its form and let us see the folds in the ear. So if I don't look through my glasses, if I look with really blurry eyes, it can at times be really helpful. Obviously it'd be absolutely useless if I were trying to get a bit of detail in, trying to look through no glasses. And when I do, I always shock myself when I put my glasses back on, because what I'm looking at through no glasses actually looks quite nice. And then when I go to put my glasses back to actually have a look, I can see that I've made the shape right, but I've usually made a really holy mess of detail. It doesn't look half so good when I look back through my glasses as what it does before I look through the glasses. But then that's up to me then to start keeping my eye on the glasses and keeping my eyes on the details of what I'm trying to do. That's what my focus should be then. Now I think here all of this wants to come a bit further and it wants to come down more. I think it's creamier, but I'll just, and then I need a dark brown again, and I'm going back to that Castle Earth. I'm still not looking through my glasses here, I'm still just looking at the shapes that I can see. Can you see how goldeny brown that Castle Earth looks? Or at least it does to me. Compared to where I've had the sepia in, and that although it is a deep brown, this colour, it's not as dark as that sepia. Makes a nice foundation to go over with the sepia then now. This all here wants to be a lot lighter. The fur wants to be a bit creamier, and it wants a lot lighter colouring. I'm still not going to do anything down there because I'm nowhere near wanting to touch that. So I'll go back again to my French grey, 10%, and I'm going to go and get some of these lighter bits, which will need blending back with pink or a Q-tip or whatever you want to use for it. But these are where my lights are, that I can see with new spectacles, just blurred eyes. So stop there and find something a little bit fleshy coloured, I think. I've got some really lovely flesh colours. I like the Caran d'Ache coloured pencils for really good flesh colours, such a good range. So I've picked up these two, if you can see them, and I think I'm going to put some of the darker one in first, just so it gives me a tone to work by. Because underneath that I've got that pink quite deep underneath, but it is because it's going into the shadows, into the ear, into the hollows of it. And that'll all want blending in. Still so much tooth there. There's so much tooth there because all I've done is put the soft pastel base down first. So there's so much tooth here. We could go back and forth with darker and lighter pinks, darker and lighter pinks to build up some extra tones. So here's two more pinks that you could use in the flesh colour areas. So they were a bit dirty, the tips of those pencils. So I'll put some of these in because they just give extra depth. To the skin and flesh look of the ear. I'll probably come back up to the lighter colours again afterwards. But you've got to get enough pastel into the tooth, and you've got to get variations. If you look at any skin, wherever it is on the body of any animal or any person, it's not one colour. And when people try to choose the perfect skin tone for skin, they're not seeing all the lilacs, the purples, the greens, the greys, the reds, the bright pinks, the yellows that you can see in the bottom, underneath in the skins, greens in the shadows. Sometimes there's some really nice blues reflected up in the skin. When you've got all these different colours in here in your ear, you can blend it, smooth it back out if you want with a applicator or a Q-tip. But what you have to remember is when you do that, you'll be picking off some of the top colours, so it might go back to darker than you wanted, because you'll be picking off some of your top colour. When you do that. And I'm just working backwards and forwards with different darks, lights, trying to remember to keep my pencil tips clean. This looks white when you look at it against that, but it's actually not. It's called pink white. So it's not harsh and as cold as a white. Very good for highlights on things. Through here, because although the dog fur itself won't be pink, you will have pink reflections onto the lighter colours. Clean it off again. There's all sorts of shapes and folds and creases in dog's ears. Some of the best ears, most fascinating ears that I've done recently have been the Italian Greyhound ears. I've been trying to do it in Procreate. So you use your Apple Pencil as a paintbrush, a pencil, whatever, and trying to do that has been a lot harder. I mean, some people just seem to take to it like a duck to water, but my gosh, is it hard for me trying to layer the colours up, trying to work out how they'll sit on top of each other or underneath each other, and which is the right textured pencil, because you pick up a texture. You don't just like all your things are the same with these pencils, they're all the same, and then you're just working on your colours. But with the Procreate, the digital art, you've got to pick the textures that you want to create. You don't really create them so much by layering onto your tooth, because there isn't any tooth. You're drawing on a flat shiny screen, and you can put different layers in, but each time you're not getting over the top like this. So they create textured pencils, paintbrushes, they create stamps, they create all sorts of things, and it can be really tricky trying to work out. It's been a real learning curve. Enjoyable, and of course the advantage is that if you can draw in Procreate, you don't need to take any pens, pencils, papers or anything with you. You just need your Apple Pencil and your iPad. That's a big draw for me for the summer for travelling. So I hope you can see that we're starting to just keep building and building and building.
I don't know what you mean by so I hope you can see that we're starting to just keep building.
Siri! Oh, isn't Siri a pain? Always interfering in everything that I do. I know what I mean, and I'm sure you know what I mean. Poor old Siri. Just smooth those edges down a little bit now, just for the sake of neatness. Sometimes your edges might be like really dark. Sometimes the light's catching them. Most often the light's catching them, and you have like this little halo around your ear tips where the light's just catching the fur. So I think in here we've got that dark off my pencil. I think in here we want some more very lightly applied lights, and I'm probably going to go, I think I just leant on the board a bit much then. I'm probably going to come back in here with some dark in a minute. That's what I'm thinking I'll be doing next as I work around, because that's how my brain's working. It's thinking, yeah, you want that there, but you might need to come back with this and get a bit more of that there, and then come back and sort that out. And that's what I mean about going backwards and forwards, working over what you're doing. All of the time. I think there I want something a bit like a creamier colour. So I've picked up 4 pencils, 3 of which are very creamy looking. But what I'm actually going to start with for that bit is I'm going to start with this one, which is actually light flesh 5%. And the reason for that is I've already put some cream in underneath when I used the soft pastel. So I've already laid a base of something creamy and yellowy. And if I go too creamy and yellowy, it might look yellow. I don't really want it to be too yellow. And it definitely wants some more dark bringing in around that. So we'll flip back over, and this time I'll go to, I did Castle Earth. I'll use the dark flesh, and then I'll go up to the dark sepia. So to me, the dark flesh, I don't know if you can see, the dark flesh is this one, and it's not quite so dark as the dark sepia, which is that one. So I'll go with a bit of this through these now. I'm still picking up light colours, so I'm constantly, I don't want to muddy all this into just one colour, so I'm constantly just wiping that pencil off. Pushing that dark up in places and leaving it coming down longer in the lights in places, just a little bit as the reference photo looks here. The dark's kind of chopping in to create some shapes. It's coming in this way. And what I do sometimes when I get to this, as I go to put my pencil in, I stop looking through my glasses again. And if you don't wear glasses, one of the tricks that I know that other artists that have got good eyesight and no glasses needed, they squint their eyes, so they're squinting through. So they see it blurry as I do by just not looking through my glasses. And I can't really tell whether I'm getting a good detailed when I don't look through my glasses, but I can tell whether I'm getting the shape and into the space right, which then I can look through my glasses again and go back and put the detail in that I'm needing, or smoothing it out, or whatever I need to do really when I go back then and look through my glasses. But as you can see, I'm just doing what I'm forever telling you ladies to do, which is work backwards and forwards. Just keep going. Backwards and forwards, backwards and forwards. And then there'll come a point when you feel like you don't want to go back over that area anymore, but you'll see other places where you want to continue, and you'll just move along to them. And you might think, oh, that bit's done now, I'll just move to something else. And then you'll do something else, and then it'll show you that you actually do need to come back to that area a bit more. Like when I look at the photo, I've stopped looking at it again. That light comes further down here. It's dark, dark, dark at the bottom, but I'll need to pull that light further down again because I've pushed too much dark into it. But I'll do that. I'll come back with some light in a minute. So here we've got some darks pulling back in amongst that light. Which helps me to create those shapes and textures. And I haven't gone with the dark sepia yet, so I might go where I really think I want some darker areas, or I might think I'll keep it softer looking, not quite so detailed. That's a preference. Sometimes I look at things and think that they're so detailed that they don't look realistic, and yet you'd think that the more fur that you can see, the more individual first strokes, the realer it will look. But it's surprising what your eye picks up, what detail your eye fills in, if the shape's there. So it's looking pretty okay, is that bit? And it might be if I was doing this for a commission, I would probably be still spending at least another couple of hours before even getting down here. At least another couple of hours, going backwards and forwards. Or I might move on and come back to it after I've got some more. I think that will need some of that dark sepia here. And this is where I need to be really careful to keep that light off. Because when I'm wanting to get the darks in at its darkest, I don't want to be smudging that light about. That's one thing about pastel pencils. I often feel that there's not much. The darks aren't, sometimes seem not quite dark enough to me. Probably because there's such a great variety in the coloured pencils of dark. Derwent brought out a new set a couple of years ago now, and the darks, they do a midnight black, they do a Mars black, they do a regular black, they do an indigo, and they do a variety of colours that can all be really dark. The green, the forest green, such a lovely dark green. I like to use those in under my darks. But I do find it lacking really in the pastels. So I think we're getting some shape here now. So I've got quite a lot of light there, and as long as I remember to keep cleaning that pencil tip off, I can create some fur look by pulling some dark through it, instead of it just looking like a block of light. You can make it look furry by pulling some dark back through it. But remember, clean the pencil. I do it automatically now. I keep dropping in and out of looking through my glasses and not looking through my glasses. And I don't always realise I'm doing it. And I forget to look through for detail. I just keep going with the shape. The shape is all. So I want to go back with the Castle Earth now, because here to me we've got some brownies but not too dark. There's a little bit here as well. So I'm just going to rub a little bit of this in. Again, I'm not looking through my glasses, so you could be squinting your eyes to see this. Some dogs and cats have a right lot of dirt in their ears, and obviously when the owners ask you to do a portrait, they send you a picture that they actually like, but they're not looking at that detail, you are. And then you need to not draw the muck in. Sphinx cats, they can have really dirty ears. Really, really dirty ears. And while you want to put a hint there, because sometimes that defines the shape, you don't want that much that it's gonna, you know, really stand out as your animal's got really mucky ears. Well, you wanted a realistic portrait, so I've drawn all the muck in for you as well. I think that'd be more upsetting to your customer. So this looks like it could really do with blending again now. And this looks like it still wants a bit more dark pulling in. But it's starting to take shape. And I'm going back to the dark sepia now, because I want to just keep darkening this. And this is where I mean sometimes I don't. Oh, the Mars black here would be beautiful. And I don't really like using black too much. I could put a touch of black in there to really get those dark bits dark, but I don't think I would. So this bit here, we've got, as we go down that head, that's all dark, this is all dark. It goes out into the lighter here, and there's a big creamy bit there. So I'll just choose a creamyish pencil, because I didn't put any in before, and I'll put a bit of cream here. And then we've got a little bit coming through here, and wipe my pencil off so I'm not smudging that brown everywhere. Got a little bit of creamy coming through. And then I'll just go back over with some, and I'll start again with the Castle of Earth and go up through the dark flesh and so on and so forth. I get this bottom bit looking right. Want to come back and blend that some more. The top, I think I'm okay with that up there for this demo. So I'll start with Castle Earth here. And if I was doing this and I was going to put this bit in, all that cream fur, I would put it this, I would go to this bit next. I wouldn't continue this. I might blend that out actually before I went to the, now I've lost my what's it, so I can find a Q-tip here. I'll use this. I blend that out a bit, and then I put this cream fur in here before putting the darks in. Or I put definitely the first few base layers of the cream. Only doing this very lightly, because I want to keep some texture, because skin has texture in it. It has pores, it has bits that stick up that you can see if you look closely at skin. So while I don't want it to be too textured, I want you to be able to see some texture. So that's very lightly done. using the point if I want to move a bit of the colour around. And then turning it over. Got dirt on it. I'll go on to that side because it's the cleanest. And just gently. I think what I would say I was doing here is trying to push some more of that pastel down into the tooth rather than leave it so sat on the top. I don't really want it on the top so much there. I want it down inside the tooth to give it a softer, more blended look. So all that really remains for me to do there is I do need a bit more of that light flesh here to pull this back down. That dark has grown away from me a little bit. Keep wiping that off. Just going very lightly, not really trying to texturize it, but just let you know that it's there. So I think that'll do for that. And then I think I've gone a little bit too far, so I'll go back. Dark flesh, and I think that's a better shape. Makes more of a V shape there. And I could put, you know, once I've got this cream in, if I needed to a bit more dark into there, I could. And down here, but you can see that the little wispy creams are coming over. So I wouldn't, when I was doing the ear, I wouldn't really do too much more. I would get a little bit here, I think. I can't see the bottom bit of this picture actually, the way that I've got it placed, so I'll just do my best guess, but it doesn't really matter because if I was working on this, I would just come back in and work on it again later if I need it to. And a little bit of dark sepia over the top. Keep turning it to get some darks. Because that'll be where the fur's sticking out over something on a part of the ear. Okay, ladies, well, I'm going to call that it. And I hope to see some of you tomorrow in person.